rush that was. Yeah, the Drive Festival was wow. They really pulled out all stops this year. I can't even believe they had the Zinger 21C on site live. There's only three prototypes in the world as far as I'm aware. And yeah, unfortunately, at the very beginning of the day, I had a dentist appointment, so I missed some of the cars on the track. One of them I was really hoping to capture in motion was the Zinger, but it is what it is. You got to do what you got to do. There are some things I want to go over while I'm showing the photos that I did shoot while I was out at the Drive Festival, just to give you an idea as to things to look for when you're actually shooting motorsports. People a lot of the time think that shooting motorsports is just a matter of aiming the camera at a vehicle and you take a picture of the vehicle when it's moving. That's not the case. You're still trying to tell a story. With that said, there's certain angles, certain positions of the vehicle that you need to be aware of. You got to pay attention to every little detail. You kind of have to know vehicles as well. When they're railing around a corner, and you know that when they're pretty much right at the apex, it'll be unweighted. It'll be more weighted to one side than the other side. So you want to try to capture the unweighted tires along with the loaded tires and things like that. So I'm going to walk you through my visualizations of what I was trying to shoot for while I was taking shots of the vehicles. Enjoy. So when we first arrived, just seeing the amount of vehicles that were parked, and we had to park at one far side of the lot, and it was a bit of a distance to walk into the actual event from where we had to park. But that right there, I just thought they must have really pulled out all stops if there's this many vehicles. This is a very, very popular once a year event, and I'm hoping they continue it on. So anyway, upon our arrival inside the event, I happened to come across this absolutely beautiful Rolls Royce. I never thought I would see somebody slam a Rolls Royce, get the rims right, and the car's condition was just absolutely pristine. The reflection off the paint, just absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Like 100% immaculate condition. So that was shot with the 1650 PLM. Now, I did switch over to the 150-450 when I was shooting the action shots, which I will show you in a sec. And here's the Brampton Batman. He's well known in Ontario. This is actually a street legal Batmobile. He drives this. He does a lot of charity work for children suffering from cancer, things of that nature. Ailments within the hospital, in the hospitals. So he shows up as their superhero because they want to meet Batman, and just gives them hope. It's a very beautiful thing that he does do. And he's been dedicated to doing this for quite a number of years. And he always attracts a crowd, obviously. And here's a Sierra Cosworth and a Jaguar race car. I'm not sure which GT class this would be. I think GT1, or maybe GT4. Anyway, so this was shot with the 150-450. Here's the safety car. This is not cropped. This is exactly at 450 millimeters, this is what it was. And this one here, I believe, was at 150 millimeters, 160 millimeters. So at first glance, it seems okay. Well, why didn't you just keep using the 150-450? Well, the reason why I didn't keep using the 150-450 is right here. That's why. That was at 150 millimeters. As you can see here. And the reason, this is not cropped, so it's just simply not enough field of view to get these shots. And that's as wide as that lens goes. So I had to switch over to the 55-300 PLM in order to get the shots that I was actively looking for, which are, let's just get down to where I switched, if I can find it quick. Come on, man. I think, is this one? Let me see. I think this is one 88. Yes. Okay. So this is when I had switched over to the 55-300 PLM. Now, between the two lenses, I mean, they both did an amazing job. The brief period of time that I did shoot with the 150-450, I would have loved to have used it for the rest of the day. It was great. It locked on quick. It tracked perfectly. I had no issues with it whatsoever. It just wasn't wide enough for where I was positioned in order to get shots such as this. It just was not a wide enough lens. And in regards to what I had mentioned towards the beginning of the video, looking at the angles and, especially with motorsports, trying to tell a story with a car really is not the easiest thing to do. And I will try my best to explain. So with this shot here, what I was actually going for is just to show a bit of lift on the tire here, right? And the curve, the bending of the tires on the outside of the corner. Those to me are, like, as an automotive person, those are telltale signs. You can tell how fast this car was railing around the corner. That's, but it's these little tiny, tiny things that you need to look out for. And, just as Lee Iverson does with his panning and slower shutter speeds, it's the same thing with automotive. In order to tell that story, you got to get the wheels spinning. You have to. You've got to get that blur. You know what I mean? Because if it's just static, what is that, 8293? So let me just go back here. So if it's just a static shot, right, like that just looks like the car's sitting there. And because it's tilted, it actually looks like it's broken, right? But it was thundering down the track. You just can't tell. Same with this one. There's just no way to actually tell, because the shutter speed is just too fast, right? So actually, I'm just going to skip ahead here. This Nissan 370. And here's the McLaren Alva. And this car is a one of one. It's the only McLaren Alva that's actually painted this color, that has this color scheme. They paid McLaren to paint this car as a tribute to Bruce McLaren from when he was racing. And this is literally the only one of these cars like this in the world, period. And yes, it does not come with a windshield. That's a whole other story. Yeah, but anyway, so absolutely beautiful machines. Absolutely beautiful. And yeah, there is some dust on the images I'm noticing here and there. It must have been from when I switched over from the 150 or from the 150-450 over to the 55-300 PLM. With that said, let's see if I can find some of the photos. Yeah, so angles like this are a little bit less sideways, I guess. Less horizontal is what I actually try to go for. Let's see if I can find a couple here. Okay, so something around the lines of this, where it's just off-centered. You can see the design of the vehicle. You can see the louvers and the intakes on the sides. Let's see if I can find another one. Here's another one. Yeah, so this Lamborghini. Again, you can see, you can see design elements, right? You can see how big this intake is. And you can see the tires are lifting a slight bit there. The angle's not quite exactly how I would want it. Let's take a look at this Dodge Viper. Yeah, so you can see the tires lifting here, tires compressed here. You can see the body's leaning. These tires are actually pretty stiff. There's no lean on the tires at the bottom there. But with this tire lifting and the angle that it's compressed at, you can tell that this car is really pushing it around the corner. And those are the kinds of things that I actually try to go for anytime I'm shooting motorsports. I always try to get that specific angle. You know, that's just my thing. I think this is, yeah, I was actually aiming at the Lotus there. And I think this one is when I switched back. Okay, no, I was still aiming at the Lotus. Yeah, I don't think I did switch back. Yeah, but you'll notice that as I go through these photos, we'll just do a couple more. And that was the other thing too. I mean, the vehicles were limited, so I mean, it's not a huge, massive amount of variety of what I could shoot. But with this one, you know, same thing. You can, again, you can see the tires leaving a little bit, just lifting slightly, you know, and that's pretty much like, those are the angles that I always try to get. Especially, I always try to look for a corner, preferably along straightaway into a corner where I have enough room to catch the car on a straightaway, the corner, and as they're leaving. So here's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. So you can see it's leaning. These tires, like, it looks like it's just going to come right off the ground. These tires are barely holding on. You can see the side gill here for the intake for the engine in the back. You know, those are the types of things that really tell a story of what was happening. At the same time, when you're shooting, you know, just horizontally, you need to use a slower shutter speed so you can see the motion of the rims and the blurriness of the vehicle, you know, of the background as the vehicle is just whipping by, right? Because that will also tell the story of just how fast the vehicle was actually going. And so if you're looking at these ones, not quite that blurred. There we go. So here you can clearly see, I mean, the wheels are spinning. You can't even make out what's on the tire. Everything's blurred. The concrete's blurred. The car is sharp, right? That is it, right? So if you use too fast of a shutter speed, you'll freeze everything and it just won't look natural. It loses the entire essence of that speed that you're trying to capture. And you can actually do this with a vehicle that's barely moving too. That's fun. A lot of people feel that, oh wow, you know, how fast were you going? And you're like, no, wasn't really going fast at all, right? So, but again, looking at these angles, you know, this car is very, very low to the ground, but you can just see the intakes here on the sides. I was trying to get this one more head on, you know, just for myself. I wasn't really trying to do my usual. And this Viper, I think he was braking at the time. And this Audi. But you get the idea. And now, the 150, 450, as I said, did a fantastic job. I would have loved to have shot that all day. Unfortunately, it was just not the right lens for that shooting location, unfortunately. You know, it is what it is. But like I said, in my mind, there is no one-size-fits-all lens. Every lens has a purpose. And the purpose of the 150, 450 is distant subjects where you need the extra zoom range. The 55-300 PLM gives you a much better range of, you know, the wider angle type of shot all the way to super telephoto, right? So that is basically why I had to switch lenses, because I wanted those wider angle shots of the vehicles actually going by me on the track horizontally, and I just didn't have the space to do that with the 150, 450. Now, the K3 Mark III performed admirably. I was using just strictly zone autofocus. I didn't use any of the manual focus modes. I wasn't using AFC with select autofocus. I just threw it in zone and I just pointed at things and just shot. And that was it. Except for these vehicles. These vehicles, they're not moving, so I didn't use AFC. I was using AFS. But yeah, I mean, the either way, 55-300 PLM, 150-450, depending on how much space you have to work with and the type of shots you're trying to actually get. But either of those paired with the K3 III, absolutely phenomenal. absolutely great. And yeah, you can easily shoot motorsports. There's no issue with that at all. And that's it. If you like the video, leave a like. If you haven't already, please do subscribe. Always helps out. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. If you want to support the channel, that info's at the bottom of the description. And that's it. I'm going to go. And you will see me on my next video. I'm out.